Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm Danny from The Glittered Rose. This is going to be my new series called Two Ways Tuesday, in which I will make two cards using the same focal images and do it two different ways. So today I've made two cards. One features hot foiling and the other one has been better pressed using Pinkfresh Studio's new set called Making Things Happen. They're very clever. They've put out new sets of plates which can either be hot foiled or better pressed. So in honor of that, I thought I'd make a card using hot foil and the other one better pressed. And I think they came out really pretty. I'm very happy with them. So if these cards interest you, if you want to see how I've made them, please stick around. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps my new channel grow. Okay, so here I am with the Glimmer machine all heated up. I have my beautiful press plate and I'm putting some metallic pinkish purple foil on it, layering my paper on top, remembering that the pretty side of the foil always goes on your plate. And I'll just heat it up. So I'm just laying on my shims for my Glimmer machine and die cut machine. I've needed to put in 2 pieces of printer paper. I find the extra thin shim that it comes with is too much, and this just works perfectly, as you'll see. I'm using Hammermill cardstock, which is for me the best cardstock. It works perfectly every time. I'm back to using my Spellbinder's Platinum 6 machine. Unfortunately, my Sizzix switch stopped working, so I had to return it. So I'm back to manual cranking. But gee, it's a nice machine. I'm not upset about having to use it. When I run it through my machine, I like to run it nice and smooth. I think that helps. So just slow and steady rinse erase, so it's nice, even, smooth pressure. Does anybody else get nervous when you're lifting the hot foil off, just in case it didn't work properly? I mean, it's ridiculous. You can put it through a second time, but I'm always worried it's not going to work properly. And look at that, it did. It's absolutely perfect. Gotta love the effect of hot foiling. I think it's one of my favourite. I think it's just gorgeous. Okay, so I've grabbed out some colours, some alcohol markers. These are my Oahu alcohol markers, which I love. I've pinned down the image onto my magnetic glass mat from Glass Board Studio. I think it's fantastic. I'm loving it. The quality is just so beautiful. When I use my markers, I use 3 colours. So I'll always start with the lightest colour, then the medium, and then the darkest colour. And then I'll usually go over those 3 colours with my lightest colour again and just make sure it's all blended. I find the Hammermill cardstock perfect for alcohol markers. It holds the ink really beautifully, but it's also nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to just colour this off camera because I don't feel like you need to watch it. It would make the video very long because I'm a bit of a slow colourer, but I do enjoy it. Okay, so this is it all coloured and I think it looks really pretty. I've sort of used muted neutral tones, which I think just looks so nice. You've just got that sparkle, that sheen from the foil. I think it works well. So for this die set, you get 2 dies. You get the outer die and the inner die. So you can choose what you want to use. I'm going to use both for this card. This here, for my Aussie friends, is the best tape you can get. It's just plain old washi tape from Kmart, a tube for $5. I've tried Best Ever Craft Tape, Mint Tape, and this is the best. It doesn't pull your paper apart, doesn't pull off the foil. Don't overlook it. It's fantastic. Okay, I've just run it through my die cut machine and this is how it comes out. Okay, time to glimmer a sentiment, and this is from Favorite Things Sentiments press plates from Pinkfresh. So I've just popped on the same hot foil that we used for the main image, and I'm just going to hot foil that. Just the same method. And it foiled pretty well, as you can see. I'm just going to die cut this out now, and I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I'm going to 3D emboss a piece of paper. I am first wetting the paper so it softens the fibers in the paper. I find that we get a much better impression when we do that. The embossing folder that I'm using is Sweet Finds by Paper Rose. Paper Rose is an Australian company. I'm pretty sure that you can readily get them from America and other places around the world. They have some lovely things. Just quickly run that through my die cutting machine. I just want a nice impression, doesn't matter if it's not particularly deep. Okay, so I'm just going to run over it with some Brilliant's Moonlight white ink just to highlight those raised areas. It's quite subtle on the pinkish mauve background or coloured paper, but I think it's quite nice. Okay, just for the boring bits now, I'm gluing on my 3D embossed card front onto a card panel just for a bit of extra stability. And then I'm going to glue that onto a card base so it's nice and firm. I use A2 card panels. I like that size. I know it's not traditional in Australia, but I just find photographing them, it's just a better shape for me personally. Just gluing on the main focal now, and then I'll glue on my sentiment, which I also die cut some pop-up foam so it just stands out from the background. I love the Spellbinders pop-up foam. I think it's fantastic. And now for the final fun bit, which is gluing on some sparkles. Just pop them on, trying to get them to stick onto the 3D embossed cardstock was a bit difficult. I just needed to find some flatter areas to stick them onto, and it worked well. And I think we're all finished. I'm quite happy with it. I think it's pretty. The sparkle from the rhinestones look really lovely against the sparkle from the foil. I'm quite happy with it. Okay, so now it's time for cardsie number twosie, and I'm inking it up with the Spellbinders Betterpress Ink Garnet. Again, it's a pretty colour, but I think it's earthy. So I think these two um, will complement each other. So just get it nice and even, and I'll run it through the die cut machine. I'm going to do the exact same method for my sentiment, same sentiment before, again from Pinkfresh Studio, and it's Favorite Thing Sentiment. I'll run it through the die cutting machine. Okay, so now we're up to colouring this image. I wasn't sure at first if I wanted to colour it or how I would colour it, but I decided I'd grab out my Prismacolors. The paper that I've used is rather textured. It's watercolour paper, so I knew I wouldn't be able to get too much light and shade. So I'm just basically colouring them and then going in with a white pencil to blend it through. And that sort of just pushed the pigment further into the cardstock, and it worked quite well. I think it looks really pretty. So I should have mentioned that the paper that I'm using is from Paper House. It's a heavyweight, medium textured, uh, cold press watercolor paper. On my channel, I have a fantastic video where I test different papers that would be suitable for the Betterpress. In Australia, the Betterpress paper is super expensive, so I wanted to find an alternative, and I found a great alternative, and I'm using this alternative in this card, and I think it looks just as nice. I'll pop a link in the description box for that video if you're interested in watching it. I think that it's always good if we can save some money so that we have money to spend elsewhere. Okay, I've given you a little insight into how I coloured these. I might just cut out the rest so I don't bore you to death. Okay, so instead of 3D embossing for this card, I thought I would grab a card front panel, A2. This is a bit smaller than A2 because it was a whoopsie with my trimming. Doesn't matter because the border will cover it up. And I am going to use Pinkfresh Studio's new plate, dotted petals. And I'm just inking that up with Pinkfresh's beautiful ink Sage. I think this might be one of my favourite ink pads of all time. I think it's stunning. So I'm just inking it up and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. Okay, so I've made an A2 size card and I'm just popping my card panel on the front, and then I put my floral border on the top and just glue it all down. Not the most fun part, but gotta be done. Just finishing up with some glass rhinestones just to give it a little bit of bling, and we're all done. And we're done. 2 cards for my very first Two Ways Tuesdays. I really appreciate you watching, and if you found any value in this, please hit the like button and think about subscribing. It would really help me. And thank you to all my new subscribers. It's great to have you aboard. Thanks. Bye.